Hello and welcome. This is Michele Christensen of OneNote Worthy Life, and this is a Plan With Me video for April of 2020. I'm using OneNote for Windows 10, and I'm going to walk you through how I evaluate the past month and set new goals for the upcoming month. As usual for my Plan With Me videos, I've already done this process. I like to film after I've completed the process so that I can really take my time and do some reflection and some really thoughtful goal setting, and then I can walk you through it and give you a concise overview afterwards. Also, you'll see that the pages I use in OneNote don't really have any special tips or tricks or anything like that. It's mostly text and lists. So right off the bat, I can just say with 100% confidence that this is absolutely the weirdest and most eventful month-to-month transition I've ever experienced. Going back to early March when I was just kind of setting up and setting goals, it seemed like a perfectly normal month. And then just in a few short weeks, everything's changed. I'd be hard-pressed to come up with one area of my life that hasn't changed. And I'm talking about obviously the bigger events that are going on in the world right now. April's going to be another unprecedented month, and we really don't know when things are going to return to normal. So I'm just going to kind of keep going, put one foot in front of the other, and just keep doing the best I can. So let's get into it. So I like to start with a review of the prior month goals. So in this case, it's March. I have a page set up with the goals on them, and then I just add commentary in color so that I can tell the original from the commentary. And the color doesn't mean anything. It's just whatever I feel like using that month. I use color mainly so that I can tell the difference between the original goal that I posted and then any commentary or results that I post in color. So this page shows the goals for OneNote Worthy Life, which is my YouTube channel and blog. The first goal I had has been the same for a few months, which is sticking to an editorial calendar. I've had this goal for a few months, and I want to just keep getting better at creating and sticking to an editorial calendar. And I've really found this to be a skill unto itself. Each video or other piece of content I post, but especially videos, have multiple steps before and after filming, and those steps can have unpredictable durations, so it's pretty hard to make sure I can hit each goal I set. And I also want the content that I'm presenting to kind of make sense across different channels, so it's really important to be able to set up that editorial schedule and stick to it. And I've been doing better. I've been getting better and better at it each month, but I really want to just be able to do it and know for sure that I can stick to it, because that's going to open up the door for some projects that I want to tackle. I also feel like this goal is front and center because it's limiting some things that it's limiting my growth and it's limiting my potential right now. So that's why this is front and center for me. So my second goal was getting my next guest booked for my monthly live video chat, which is called the Take Note Chat. I'm resuming this after a few months of hiatus due to YouTube making some changes behind the scenes of how you stream with a guest. I was hoping to have my next guest booked in March, but that didn't happen. March has just been such an eventful month. I have talked to 5 different people, and they'll all likely appear as guests at some point in the future, but no one's booked firmly yet. So I feel good about this in the sense that I've done as much as I could do, but I still want to get that first guest and the next few guests booked by the end of April. And so this leads me to a little reminder that I want to give you that I am regularly looking for speakers for my live video chat. It's a mostly monthly live video chat here on YouTube with me and a guest, and I like to have people on that can talk about or describe a unique use of OneNote or how to use OneNote in a specific setting or circumstance. There'll be a link in the description to the Take Note Chat playlist so you can watch past episodes, and there'll also be a link to a page which will give any potential speakers all the information they need to get started. So if you want to think you'd be a good speaker or you know someone, send them to that information page. So that's it for my professional goals. I have been keeping things really simple and focusing on very few things over the last few months, and I have found it really helpful just to have fewer points of focus. And I was especially thankful in March with all of the events that occurred. So let's move on to personal. So, as always, my first goal, or as always, as I've been doing currently, my first goal is a calorie goal, and this is how much I undereat by each day on average for the month. This is not how much I eat in total. 450 calories a day would be pretty much starvation, so I don't do that. It's how much I want to undereat by. So I currently do weigh more than is healthy for my body, so I'm actively working to drop the extra weight. So I try and have a calorie deficit, meaning on average I eat fewer calories than I burn. I didn't quite hit my March goal, and I even missed February by a little bit too, but that scale's beginning to wiggle, so I do feel really good about that. The weight's beginning to drop off. And so that alone feels like a win. I'm going to keep this goal right where it is for April because in my state where I live, California, we're staying home a lot and gyms are closed and a lot of things are just being handled differently. So I didn't want to add in a challenging calorie goal on top of it, especially when what I'm doing right now is actually working. And this is an example of being realistic in my goal setting. I missed this goal the last 2 months, and this month has some really strange and unpredictable things happening. So now is not the right time to try and hit a really challenging hard goal. So my next area of focus is be ready. And this was my theme for 2019, also for 2020, and probably beyond. I have a link to a playlist where I show you what that means for me and how I plan to achieve it. But in short, I've identified a whole bunch of areas of my life and small things I can do that will add up to me living my life in a state of feeling just more ready to take on whatever life brings to me, whether it's challenges or opportunities or unexpected travel plans, whatever. And since December, my focus has been to do all of my daily habits on a more regular basis, and it's starting to get easier. I'm definitely feeling more on top of things, and I was able to get my all of my current habits done and much more consistent during March, and I want to just carry that momentum into April. So the next goal I had was to work on our security system. My husband and I have been working on installing a security system in our house, and we've made really good progress on it. We completed the entire first section of it, and all the software and the things that kind of happen behind the scenes are all hooked up. Everything's working great. All the backups are working great. And we have started working on the next section, so that's going to be kind of my next goal with that, is to get that next section completed. The next goal I had was just to get my dog's license renewed on time, and I did manage to do that. And it's a small thing, but this month it was actually more difficult because a lot of the local offices are closed and things are taking longer, but I still managed to hit it on time, and it's just kind of a small victory to celebrate, knowing that I managed to hit this deadline and that my dogs are properly licensed and I'm following local laws and that kind of thing. So the next thing that came up during March was we are upgrading our HVAC, that's heat, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC system to include air conditioning. We live in an old house, and it probably should have been torn down when we moved in, but we've been working on fixing it up and have recently decided to add air conditioning. This has been on our list for years, and we finally decided to bump some other things out of the home improvement queue and move this to the top because we wanted to try and get it done before summer. That's, obviously when the heat really hits. And we had set this goal way before anything having to do with staying at home or working remotely or businesses being closed or essential workers or anything like that began to happen. And it seemed perfectly reasonable at the time. Fortunately, we were able to move really quickly on it and lined up a contractor and made all the decisions we needed to make, and were able to complete most of the project before any of the things going on right now would have made it difficult or impossible to do. There's still a few odds and ends to do, but the system itself, the HVAC system, is working, and the bulk of the project's done, and a lot of it's out of my control right now. So, yeah, that feels really good to have that done. It's really a big win because it's a big project, and it's been on our radar for literally years. Living in an older house, it's actually hotter inside our house during the summer than it is outside. So it could be 100 degrees outside, and then when we come inside, it's like stepping into a brick wall of heat. and it makes it really hard to work from home. And in fact, we've even had like computers shut down because of the heat and stuff like that. And given that summer's approaching, we wanted to get this done before we went through another summer. And now, with what's going on in the world right now, we are really glad we got this done because it's possible we both might be forced to work from home this summer. So we're super glad to have this done. And it also feels like a win because, for the last year and several months, I've been working toward this general idea of being more ready to handle and react to whatever comes my way in life. And this project was a big project. Anytime you get into a home improvement project where you have crews in your house, multiple crews, inspections, that kind of thing, it's a big deal. It's very disruptive. There's a lot of noise, a lot of mess, that kind of thing. And we were able to make this decision, act on it quickly, and without knowing very far in advance that I was going to have a major home improvement project, I was able to handle it. Everything went off pretty smoothly. And I felt pretty capable and pretty comfortable and in control while it was going on. And I think that just has to do with the cumulative effort of doing all of these little things over time that make me feel sort of more ready and more on top of things. So I felt really good about that. So the last thing on the March list is our sewer project, and you might have heard me talk about this. We need a repair done in where our home sewer line meets the city's line in the middle of the street, and because it's a little bit of a gray area as to who owns what, right where that connection point is, it involves multiple agencies, multiple permits, et cetera, et cetera. And we had reached kind of a milestone with the paperwork in February, and even before all the world events started happening, we decided we could temporarily put that on hold so that we could work on the air conditioning. So now we are not sure when that's going to happen. We'll see. And I don't know when things are going to reopen sufficiently to get back to work on that, but again, we'll see. So the next page I do is called What Else? And this is just a free-form section where I record things that affect my month, whether they were good, bad, just more or less unexpected things. And considering what's going on in the United States and most of the rest of the world during the month of March, this has got to be the most unusual What Else page I've ever done. And I do this page every month, but normally it's not like it is now. So my first note I wanted to talk about is that I'm just considering building a raised garden bed and a compost bin. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. It just never really seemed important. And now it just seems like it might be a good time for it. So I might just jump in and do that. The second thing I wanted to mention, as much for myself as for anyone else who might need to hear it, is to not push so hard. So I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but and I know that because I've been seeing a lot of articles over the last few days talking about this topic. But when the disruptions to businesses and the school closures and the stay-at-home orders and things started to happen, I think a lot of us took this as a huge opportunity to get things done and get to the projects that haven't been getting done. And for me, it was like a massive productivity sprint. I'm just going to crack down and I'm going to use all this extra time and knock things out. And I did enjoy a few weeks of that. But around late March, even into early April, I found myself just stressed and exhausted from pushing too hard this month. So for April, I am resolving not to push so hard. I've been intentionally doing a lot less over the last few days, and I already feel like I'm starting to rebound and adjust into this current normal. The next item was some general observations about things we need to kind of set up, put in place, adapt to for the next period of whatever is to come. So a few examples of this are setting up an arrival zone in our house. Because right now when we come in, we're wearing face coverings where we live, non-medical grade fabric face coverings. And we don't really have a good place to put those. So I want to establish a place to drop those, a place to store clean ones. Things like I want to have like reusable alcohol wipes in case people need those, and just kind of that type of thing that is going to let us safely get through this next period of time. And I may have to have at least one person in my house because we may get this a project we did inspected. I'm not sure when the city's going to do that, but they may send an inspector out. So I want to make sure I can safely have someone in my home and have whatever I need for that to happen. So that's going to be one of my projects for April. And this last point relates to a lot to the second point I made, which is that The priorities right now are really just staying healthy, navigating this new normal, and coping with whatever unpleasant feelings are coming up. Um, Not only are there like concrete things to fear, like illness, people close to you getting sick, there's also other unknown fears, like what's going to happen to your country's economy, my country's economy, the global economy. When is life going to get back to normal? Like, when are events going to be able to happen? That kind of thing. And so, all these unknowns, I think, if you don't take time to sort of properly feel them, process them, and handle them, can sort of bubble up and cause some um, not good results. So, these are my priorities right now. It's just like staying healthy, adjusting to the new normal, and making sure that I take care of my own feelings and stressors and take care of the people around me as well. So, the last thing I need to look at for March is my annual plan, and this is what I thought I'd be doing in March when I set up my year at the beginning of the year. I only had one thing on the month of March, which is the dog license renewal. Got that done, which is great. And the last year or so, I've been doing this for a while, setting up an annual plan. In the last year or so, I've been keeping it really light, and it's been working out great. I think one of the things I've really learned in doing yearly and monthly planning sessions is that I way overcommit to things, and then I have too many things taking up my attention, and none of them end up getting done. So the fewer things I can focus on, the better, to a large degree. And then the last thing I want to show, I usually show in a month, is the calendar for last month. And if you haven't seen this before, what I do is I use a calendar for the month, and then every night before bed, I write down something good that happened. Um, so this is my March calendar. There's only one day filled in. And this is my actual calendar as it exists in my personal notebook. I filled out that first day and then not one thing after this. Now, I could have filled it in. I could have gone back and looked at my daily pages, looked at my calendar, and found good things that happened, because there certainly were some good things that happened in spite of all of the different situations happening this month. I definitely experienced and heard some good things, so I could have filled it in. But it felt more authentic just to leave it empty this month, because it was such a bizarre month, and for the first half of the month, it just felt like major news bombs were just dropping. Several times a day, I would hear something that just like blew my mind, and before I had a chance to bounce back, something else would drop, and I was just sort of blown away and just in this like sort of shell-shocked state. During the second half of the month is when things really started to get real, and like the schools started closing and businesses started closing and things were canceled and things like that. And I just decided to show this page as it is and to not fill it in even for myself, because this just feels like a reflection of what this month was like for me. It's not that good things didn't happen. I could definitely find some good things to put in there, but it was every night when I was going to bed, I just felt like, oh my God, I just need to go to bed. I can't do this right now. So that's what March's calendar ended up looking like. So now it is time to plan out April, and I start with the annual plan and then April's goals. So my April annual plan is already shot. I had planned to return to the East Coast where most of my family is, and that's a big nope at this time. And then in the US, our tax deadline is the middle of April, and that's been extended until July 15th. So, I'm not going to wait until July 15th, but there's no rush to do it for the middle of this month. So now my goals for OneNote Ready Life. So my two goals are really similar to last month. I'm going to continue to try and stick to my editorial calendar. And the second goal is the same, is to get one or more guests scheduled for my chat. But the difference in this month is that I actually have a concrete plan for reaching out with people, following up with them, and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that produces some good results and that I'm able to get some things booked. On to the personal goals. So I'm going to keep that calorie goal right where it is. I'm also going to continue the same focus area in my Be Ready goal, which is to do those daily habits. I've been finding that I really enjoy doing my daily habits, that it feels like it kind of grounds me, and it also keeps my household and my life kind of functioning normally. The security system, we are going to try and move forward with that, but I'm not going to put any pressure on us because it's just a crazy month, weird month. And then the air conditioning project, we have some loose ends on that. I'm going to try and wrap those up, but again, a lot of it's out of my control at this point, so I don't know if I'll be able to. As far as our taxes, the software I use is making a big change on April 30th, so there's some stuff I use, some things I need to do to get prepped for that, so that's going to happen this month. I mentioned this earlier that I want to set up some things for the duration of this stay-at-home situation. I want to set up like kind of an entry station. I want to make some hand sanitizer, reusable alcohol wipes, and some face covers and that kind of thing, just so that we can kind of comfortably handle this because it's probably going to happen at least for this month, probably longer. And then with our sewer project, I'm just not sure when we're going to be able to get back on top of that. The city's kind of semi-shut down, and I don't know how that's going to work. The final thing is to set up that April calendar, and I have already filled in some days here, so I feel good about that. Back into that habit. And that's it. I am now all set up for April, and without a doubt, April's going to be unpredictable, and I'm sure there are many challenges still to come. But even with this unpredictability, I still want to encourage you to try making some sort of plan or setting goals for yourself, and reasonable goals, of course. It's actually been really helpful and comforting to me to have just some guidelines for what I should be doing at any moment, especially on days when my head feels like it's spinning from too much information. Don't let the uncertainty of this period of time stop you from starting things that you can start. But on the flip side of that, be realistic and gentle with yourself about what's reasonable to accomplish during this time. So if you have any questions or comments or something you want to see in more detail, please leave a comment below and I will do my best to get back to you. And if you want to see more videos like this, as well as OneNote tutorials, please subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. Let me know you like this by hitting the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.